Hello everyone! I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to read Chapter 1 of Freya's Baby. This is a romance novel, and it is in the same universe as Freya's Baby Shattered and Tearing Down the Wall. It is the same characters, the same universe, but it is a different storyline. So, different situation that I've thrown these beloved characters into. This is specifically a teenage pregnancy romance novel, and it is currently the longest novel that I have written, and it is so much fun. It is a beautiful story, and I hope y'all enjoy it. Chapter 1, Alex. I leaned against the lockers while Gordon pulled out his books. I sighed and leaned my head back against the cool metal. Alex, just do it, man. Gordon slammed his locker shut. You've been mooning over this for a week now. What do I say to her? I pleaded. Gordon rolled his eyes. How about the obvious? Will you go out with me? I wrinkled my nose. No, that's lame. You're making this more complicated than it needs to be. Gordon slammed his locker shut. But it is complicated, Gordon. I shook my head. I don't even know what to say to her. I haven't talked to her in so long. Gordon put his hand on my shoulder. Just go up there and say hi. Right. I nodded. Just say hi. I looked up at the staircase, then at Gordon. What if she hits me? He shook me by the shoulders. Do you want this girl or what? Remember what happened last time you got cold feet? I swallowed. The year before, Freya and I became good friends after volunteering for the summer t-ball team. I had been afraid to ruin our friendship, but as the year rolled by, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Then one day, I got the guts to walk up to her locker, only to find Freya and Marcus's faces glued together. I was so enraged that I promised never to talk to Freya again. But rumors were running rampant that Marcus and Freya had split. Now was my chance. I'm gonna do it, Gordon. I balled my hands into fists and headed toward the stairs. I'm gonna do it. Gordon smirked. Go get him, lover boy. Freya. Bits of tape and fragments of photo corners were stuck to the inside of my locker. I had done a massive cleaning the month before and shredded all the stupid photos of stupid Marcus. Nan had been super supportive and even let me throw them like confetti out her car window. I slammed my locker shut, shifting the books into my bag. I started heading down the hall toward algebra class. School was lonely. Marcus had signed up with the military, and a long-distance relationship was not going to work. Plus, I didn't want it to work anyway. I sighed. I didn't miss Marcus as much as I missed being with someone. Stupid Marcus. Hey! A familiar husky voice sent my heart racing. I turned and saw it was Alex. He was on the basketball team with Gordon, making him and his trim, muscular body one of the most popular boys in school. He was a far cry from the short, scrawny boy I had grown up with. Why is he talking to me? I leaned against the lockers, trying to hide my shaking. What do you want? Alex shuffled his feet. What is he being so weird for? You going to homecoming this weekend? My face felt hot. I wasn't exactly keeping track of when homecoming was. No one had ever asked me to a school dance, and I didn't fool myself into thinking boys would start asking now. No, I muttered, annoyance tightening my chest. Alex's face fell. Oh, do you have plans? No. What's the big deal, anyway? My insides writhed. I clenched my teeth. Stupid dance. Well, He closed his eyes and blurted out, Will you go to the dance with me? My mouth fell open. Shock rattled through my brain as I processed what he had said. I tried to formulate words, but nothing came out. Freya? Alex's cheeks reddened as he locked his gaze onto mine. Anger coiled into a tight knot in my stomach. Is this some kind of joke? Alex's eyes widened. No! Why would I do that? He looked away. I mean, if you don't want to go... He looked crestfallen. My heart began to hammer. The tiny light of hope I had stupidly kept all these years suddenly grew into a roaring flame. Oh my God, he really is asking me. Without thinking, I grabbed his wrist. I swallowed the excited panic in my throat. I would love to go with you. Alex grabbed my hand in both of his. I bit my lip to keep from squealing with joy at his touch. Really? He gushed. Oh my God. He bounced. Okay, I'll pick you up at 9 then. He laughed. I have to get to class. He turned and waved at me. I'll see you Saturday. He shouted down the hall as he ran away to class. I stood, rooted to the spot. People in the hall were staring, just as dumbfounded. My feet led me to algebra class, my mind racing. Did Alex really just ask me to homecoming? Chapter 2. Alex. Gordon was already at his desk when I ran into the classroom with a grin plastered on my face. Gordon looked up. He had been talking with Nina, the head cheerleader. He and Hannah were constantly getting into fights with his incessant flirting. Went well, I take it? Gordon wiggled his eyebrows. I nodded. Yeah. I ran my hand through my hair, my body still shaking from the rush. I can't believe she said yes. Gordon leaned back in his chair. What'd I tell ya? Best time to strike is after a breakup before some other guy can swoop in. Yeah. I got my notebook out for class, but my mind was replaying asking Freja over and over. I distanced myself from Freja junior year. Seeing her with Marcus had made my blood boil. At first, I shrugged it off by flirting with other girls, Lori included. But Freja was always there, a good friend waiting to hang out or sit and listen to my problems. Then one Monday, I had walked past Freja's locker and saw her face locked onto Marcus's. It still made me want to puke thinking about it. It was a wake-up call for me. I realized what a jerk I was being, making Freja sit and listen to me yap on about other girls. It made me cringe to think how cruel I had been to take advantage of her friendship. After that, all the girls seemed fake, whiny, and self-serving. I vowed that when Marcus was out of the picture, that I would get the balls to ask Freja out. I finally did it, and she said yes! I barely registered class, my hand automatically copying notes without thinking. After class was over, I walked down the hall in a haze, my mind still replaying the moment over and over again. I would love to go with you. I flinched when a soft hand grabbed mine as I reached for my locker. Hello, Alex? Oh, hi, Lori. I fidgeted. I really need to get my stuff. Lori peeled herself off my locker. I cringed and backed away as she leaned into me. I'm so sorry. It's just, I have something to ask you. She batted her eyes. I swallowed hard as panic roared in my ears. The vision of her in bed with my cousin flashed before my eyes. The old anger reared up, my face and ears growing hot. What do you want? I ground my teeth. Lori smiled and shifted her feet, swaying her ample chest. I would simply adore going to the dance with you, Alex. I rolled my eyes. I already asked someone else. I shoved her aside so I could finally open my locker. Lori's voice went soft and low. Well then, let me help you change your mind. Her soft body pressed against me all at once, her arms thrown about my neck. My books fell to the floor as my hands flew up, trying to fend her off. Her lips crashed into mine, her tongue slithering to find an opening. Get off me! I bellowed, shoving her into my locker. A whimper cut through my anger. I rolled my head and saw Freja standing a few paces away, her mouth agape. She turned and ran down the stairs to the first floor. My heart turned to ice. My throat burned as I tried to call out to her. I yanked Lori off me, my hands shaking. Lori grabbed my arm. But Alex! Get away from me! I gathered up my books and slammed my locker shut. I jerked my arm away and ran down the stairs, hoping to catch Freja, my heart pounding. Lori is such a skank! I skidded down the hall and saw Freja walking toward her drawing class. Freja, wait! I panted. She turned around, her face dark, her eyebrows knitted together. My heart sank as her anger hit me like a wall. Freja crossed her arms. What do you want? Please, Freja, I didn't want that to happen, I pleaded. Freja rolled her eyes. Oh, I'm real sure guys don't want chicks to find out about the girls they're seeing on the side, Blondie. I shook my head. No, Lori threw herself at me. Please, Freja, you have to believe me. Lori's been throwing herself at me ever since I dumped her. Freja cocked an eyebrow. Listen, Blondie, I'm going to be late for class. If you really mean it, then prove it. She walked into the classroom. I took another step, but the bell rang. And now I'm late. I sighed and ran my hand through my hair. Fuck. I ran back up the stairs, 2 at a time, and raced to chemistry class. Everyone looked up as I walked in. My face felt hot as I took my seat with Rizzo. "See me after class," Mr. Babbitt said as he wrote formulas on the board. I cringed. "Wow, you're never late, Alex," Rizzo whispered. My hands shook as I ground my teeth and scribbled in my notebook, rushing to catch up with what the teacher was writing. "Yeah, well, today hasn't been the most normal day." Rizzo completed our lab, dictating the results for me to record in our worksheets. How am I going to prove it to Freya? Where do I even start with that? "Yo, Alex, 43-degree increase. Are you even listening?" I rushed to record the change in my notes. Sorry. Rizzo nodded and pulled the beaker off the flame with his tongs. "Get out of your head, man." "Yeah." I moved the papers so Rizzo can dump the chemicals into the waste bin. I need to get out of my head. Gordon will know what to do. When the bell rang, I trudged up to the front desk while Mr. Babbitt finished erasing the board. He then stood with his hands on the back of his chair. "Alex, I can't help but be concerned. You're an excellent student. Is something the matter?" I sighed and rubbed the back of my neck. "It's really nothing, Mr. Babbitt. I'm just having some girl problems." He nodded and seemed relieved. "Well, Alex, this is not the time to let your studies slip. It's your senior year. You have college to think about." "Yes, Mr. Babbitt. I'm sorry for being late." I fidgeted my hands. "Well, consider this a warning." He began picking up papers off his desk. "I don't want to have this conversation again." "Thank you," I grinned. "I promise. It won't happen again." Mr. Babbitt waved as I bounded out of the room. "Good luck." Gordon was banging on the vending machine when I finally got to the cafeteria. "Stealing your money again?" I pulled out a few quarters and handed them to Gordon. "You should really start bringing your own, you know." "I know, I just keep forgetting." The vending machine popped out 2 cans when he put the money in. He handed the other soda to me. "Besides, now we both have refreshment." I rolled my eyes and laughed. The cafeteria was deafening as the football players cheered. I could see the quarterback, Davy, crushing empty soda cans against his forehead. We skirted past the pack of jubilant idiots and sat down at our table with our basketball teammates. "Gordon, I screwed up." I sighed. I guess I didn't screw up, but things got screwed up. "What are you talking about?" Gordon raised his voice as the cheering turned into a food fight. I groaned. "Stupid Lori came up to me and kissed me in front of Freya." Gordon's eyes widened. "Damn, she is such a slut." "I know," I growled. "She totally did it on purpose. And now Freya's mad at me." "Well, there's only one thing to do, man." Gordon chugged his soda. "Take her on a date, and then..." He smirked. "Get on your knees." I wrinkled my nose. "And beg for forgiveness?" Gordon laughed. "Kinda." "Oh, shut up." I shoved Gordon. My face felt hot. "Just because that's how you make up with Hannah doesn't mean it'll work on Freya. Trust me." He winked. "It works on every girl." I rolled my eyes. "All right, I'll see if she'll go out with me. But what if she says no?" Gordon put his hand on my shoulder. "She'll say yes. She's mad at you. Girls want you to squirm and do nice things for them when they're mad. It's not like she's flat out dumping you. She would have done it right then." "I guess you're right." I leaned on my elbow on the table. My anxiety dulled. "I could take her to Maverick's." "There you go." Gordon started eating his sandwich. "And if Skankosaurus comes back, tell her off in front of Freya. She'll enjoy seeing loose Lori knocked down a notch." Davy managed to flip his lunch table over, escalating the food fight. We slumped in our chairs, hoping to avoid the rampage. The football players were cheering him on. We watched as Davy started up the school fight song with his teammates. Gordon rolled his eyes and whispered, "You think they'll invent fire next?" I laughed. "Yeah, I'm just waiting for Davy to ride a woolly mammoth around the cafeteria." One of the adult narcs came by and tried to lead the football players out into the hall, but they just laughed at him. Davy taunted the narc. "What you gonna do, scrawny man? You gonna make us go to the principal's office?" The football players wiggled their fingers and oohed at him. The narc pulled out his walkie-talkie. "Don't make this into a full-blown incident. I'll have next week's game shut down." Davy stopped laughing and glared at the narc. We cringed. "Oh, not smart." Gordon shook his head. "You're going to do what now?" Davy growled. He towered a full head over the narc. The other players backed Davy up. Some started cracking their knuckles. The narc relented, taking a step back. "I'll report you!" He shook his fist at them as he backed away. "You better stop!" Davy took a step toward the narc and leaned his face down. "Make me." The narc jerked the walkie-talkie up to his mouth, but Davy grabbed it from his hand. The narc tried to retrieve it, but Davy held him back with one hand. He tossed it to one of the other players, who promptly threw it on the ground, and the other boys stomped on it. The plastic crumpled and shattered. The narc ran out into the hall to get some real authority, most likely. "Look at him run!" Davy pointed toward the doors, laughing. "Run, little narky pants! Ah ha ha!" Davy swept his gaze around the cafeteria. "Anyone else want to narc on us?" His threat was met with silence. The football players flipped the table back to its rightful position and sat down. The chatter in the cafeteria returned. I ate my lunch without tasting it. If I never saw Lori again, it would be too soon. The rest of the day was a wash. Freya was nowhere to be found between classes. My anxiety was gnawing my insides by the time the last bell rang. I waited by Freya's locker, hiding my shaking hands in my pockets. A jolt went through me when I spotted Freya at last. She raised an eyebrow and sighed. "Geez, Blondie, you sure are persistent." I peeled myself off the lockers as she piled books into her backpack. "Freya, I feel awful about earlier." I ran my hand through my hair, a poor attempt to calm my nerves. "Can I make it up to you?" She closed her locker and leaned against it. Her blue eyes rolled up and met my gaze. Liquid electricity raced through me. "I'm listening." She rolled her hip and smirked. "Gordon was right. Girls are so weird when they're mad. I was thinking we could go to Maverick's for ice cream, but we don't have to if you don't want to. We could always do something else." Freya smirked. "Geez, Lexi, don't fry your brain on my account." She straightened up from her locker and grabbed my hand. "Let's go get that ice cream before I change my mind." I stared at her. My feet were moving on their own accord as she led me out of school. I cringed as I felt my hands begin to sweat, but her grip remained firm. Maybe she does believe me. Is that why she's forgiving me so easily? My excitement was short-lived. Tiffany, Missy, and Lori were blocking our exit in the east hallway. The girls leveled their stares at Freya. "Oh my, look, girls! The she-beast managed to kidnap someone worthwhile!" Tiffany sneered. The girls giggled in unison, their glares sharp. Freya snorted. "At least I don't go desperately throwing myself where I'm not wanted." She glared at Lori. Lori broke from the group, twirling a lock of her glossy auburn hair. "Oh, Alex, I'm certain we can help you with your predicaments." "What?" My mind reeled as I tried to keep up. I could feel Freya bristling with rage. The other girls seemed calm, but their heated glares said otherwise. Tiffany snapped her fingers. "Come quietly, Freya, and we'll leave this mess behind us. After all, man candy like Alex is way out of your league." Freya growled. Her fingers crushed my hand as she squeezed both her hands into fists. I didn't dare let go. She would never forgive me. Lori smirked. "Freya, you're embarrassing yourself." Her eyes darkened and she whispered, "Everyone knows you're damaged goods." The color drained from Freya's face. Her grip on my hand loosened, and her palms began to sweat. What did you say?" "That's enough." I yanked Freya behind me, my anger sweeping over me like wildfire. "Why don't you go hump Drew?" I growled at Lori. "I don't have time for trash like you." I stomped past the shocked trio, dragging Freya behind me. Who do they think they are saying shit like that to Freya? I paid both our fares for the bus and flopped down in one of the empty seats. My anger began to cool, and I shook my head. Alex?" Freya whispered. "You're hurting my hand." "Oh, I'm sorry." I watched as Freya flexed her fingers. "I don't know what got into me back there." I looked down at my shoes. Geez, she must think I'm a total asshole now. Freya smiled. "Are you kidding?" She laughed. "I'm going to treasure that look on Lori's face forever." She continued to giggle. "Really? You're not mad at me?" I grinned. "We'll see, Blondie," she smirked. "We'll call it even when you make good on that ice cream." I took her hand in mine again and squeezed. Deal. That was chapters 1 and 2 of Freya's Baby. I enjoyed writing this story, y'all. And as a little Easter egg for some of y'all, I was a giant dork in the Hey Arnold fandom community. And this particular novel actually originally started as a Hey Arnold fan fiction. It has definitely evolved since then, but I love that the elements of the original characters do still shine through in some of their personality traits. So I hope y'all enjoyed this reading, and I hope y'all liked this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, and if you're new, subscribe. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.